Well, welcome everybody to our special Facebook Live broadcast from the cavernous room and office building of our central building at the Lake Forest campus. And man, it's just me and Derek, and we're supposed to be at home, but I couldn't pull this off without him, our trusty pastor of the network, and he is now our director. Come in and get a little shout out. He took off his mask. I don't know why he did that. Yeah, there we go, man. He'll be fielding your questions and doing all the fun stuff that we have planned for you on this little time. We wanted to address you with the topic of the small group ministry and the COVID-19. So, it's a serious time. So I don't want to make light of that. Just in a staff meeting, we got through praying for some people who have contracted the COVID, not our staff, but people in our congregations that have contracted COVID-19. So I don't want to make light of it. However, in the spirit of fun, so Derek is going to be posting these as live as it can be with you. So here's some memes that you guys have been sending in that I love these. So this meme, it's been all over our Facebook group and all that. So you can see this one. If you can recognize this one, Derek, are you making it happen, baby? Talk to me. Talk to me. We're in the Bat Cave. It's a nice 50,000 square foot building. You feel the echo-ness of it. It's just happening. So if this Facebook Live takes off, we've got a special sequence for you with Steve's savory segments that'll be coming up too. So a couple memes that we have coming up for you. This is one from the COVID-19, who's really behind COVID-19. And are we having the technical difficulties? We are having technical difficulties. Do you feel the pressure? Because I could show these. So I'll kind of go like this. I mean, this is what I got to do because where's the camera, baby? There's the camera. There you go. There's a great meme right there. You love that one. But we're going to keep going on. This one is one of my favorites. Single man with toilet paper seeks single woman with hand sanitizer for a good, clean fun. Don't know if that was PG-13 or R-rated, but it's feeling kind of R coming in. Chris Farley, those of you that love Chris Farley, love this one. This is so low-tech, baby. I mean, I'm hoping you're going to catch up with me here in a second. Remember going to places? That was awesome. You know, one of my favorites coming up here, this is tomorrow, coming up for you. There we go. It is the March to Stop the Coronavirus. Don't be weirded out about that because that is April 1st, which is, if you haven't caught it, it's April Fool's Day. Loving this. Here you go. Come on, check this meme out. Loving it as we go. If you go that, whoa, I'm halfway there. Woo, living on a square. Yeah, baby, you can sing that one with me. Just kind of jam on with it. You gotta love that meme right there. Love this one. This came off our Facebook group. Derek, I'm doing this all backwards, man. It's sort of freaking me out. Love you guys doing this one. If you can't relate to that on your Zoom calls, I took a shower and actually shaved for you guys. Hope you like that. This is my last one before we get into the topics of what's going on. This is for all of our vegan lovers and our toilet paper people that are needing something. Check this out. Whoa, vegan toilet paper, only 49 cents a roll. That would be somewhere in the South because out here in California, they are jacking up all the prices because somebody in Congress voted that Californians should pay the most for everything in the United States. So we've been paying hard on that. So like I said, this is just a quick COVID-19. You guys can type in some questions on how you're working through the small group ministry and COVID-19. Just want to catch you up on a few things. For us, those of you that know me, when you take the MMPI, MMPI-2 personality test, dude, I love order, I love planning, I love strategicness, I love processes. And so this virus messed us up because we had been about 2 years without a campaign at Saddleback Church. We were more than ready for it. And as we were just in the midst of launching this, we were halfway through our campaign. so excited about what that was going to be doing for our groups and everything. And then COVID-19 came and just rocked our worlds. And we had started, we were running about, 6,000 groups. We were peaked out at about 9,100 groups. And we were, having to switch all these from physical groups to online groups. So this whole thing has just, from a working standpoint in the ministry, just, it just throttled us on everything that we were planning or trying to do. And like most of you, you are all in that same boat. And so, there's some great things that God will do. And this is a good time to pause and remember, not only are we just praying for, the highest unemployment that we've seen, at least in the United States. And I know that is just, going across the globe, but we're also praying for those people. We're now in churches where we're watching people that are not only infected with COVID, but also dying, and the ripple effect that that has on fear and terror and all the playgrounds that the enemy likes to work in. Now, you got to use your brain. I mean, I just read a pastor in Florida who got jailed for doing a prayer meeting during this. And, I can't use the word stupid on Facebook Live because that is not godly or anything like that, but just not good judgment. Not good judgment. When God gave us the brain to say, hey, we're going to use our brain, but we're going to try to see what Christ can do and all that. And so what those of us that are, respecting what our government and what society is trying to help us through this whole virus, a good leader will always see times like this as ways for the gospel to flourish in a great way. In the midst of a crisis, that's when Christ can be seen the most, because we are in times when our society is going through a meltdown, financial meltdown, a spiritual meltdown, a relational meltdown, and using what we know works, because we've seen it work throughout the kingdom work, is we were able to say, okay, how do we engage the things that we need to know and do through technology to reach the people? So a good leader will face a crisis and seize a crisis and optimize what the world is breaking down over, optimize it so that Christ can be seen in it. And we've even seen that just in our in the small group network. Our numbers are going through the roof. I mean, Derek just pulled up a few of the numbers for us, but just in the last week, we've had a couple hundred people that have joined the Facebook group that are watching this. Just in this last month, the podcasts have been having over 5,000 downloads. The articles, over 10,000 downloads and reads through that. On our web page, where a lot of our resources are at on dealing with the COVID virus, is 83% over this last month, since this virus has broken out, have been new to the network, who've been people coming to it and getting the free resources that are there. We did a simple podcast, 5 minutes, learning Zoom in 5 minutes. Right now, over 100,000 views on that 5-minute thing. So many, YouTube, thank you. The producer's jumping in, so correcting me real quick why he can. He's moved from pastor role to king of knowledge over there on the far side. But we've got some podcasts for you too that hopefully you've seen that Derek and I have done. Carolyn Catetta. Whoa, Carolyn, how did I mess your name up? I've only known you like 30 years. But we have a podcast that's dropping tomorrow, and I want to encourage every one of you to be listening to it. It is, she did think of the longest title. It's Protecting Your Mental Health and Helping Your Group Leaders Thrive in COVID-19. Carolyn, you got to shorten that baby up. But Dr. Susan Chai, help me, Director. Cha. Dr. Susan Cha is going to be on it. Now, what makes this podcast even better, she's a specialist in mental health. She's also Carolyn's sister. It's like way too many brains were happening in that family. But it's going to be a great podcast. It's going to drop tomorrow. Content is through the roof, man. It's stuff that you're going to want to make sure that your group leaders can listen to it and go through it. So check that podcast out. So what I wanted to do was at least answer some of the questions that you guys have going out there. We're all in the midst of flux. We're all going through things that are kind of hitting us at different times. Lisa Hansen gave us one of the most thorough questions on there. So if you want to type out one sentence questions, that works much better with my reading ability. But she writes to us, so your church has 100 members in, so our church has 100 members in life groups. I'm having a hard time trying to get the other 400 members to join one. All of our groups are using Zoom, so no one has the excuse not to join a group. Totally get that. Love the smiley face. I just can't seem to get others interested. This is our second year and my numbers are still the same. Any ideas? Well, Lisa, first thing I would tell you is tenacity wins the race in small group ministry. So you are juggling a lot, you're shifting. So there's a lot of reports out there where groups are connecting very well to the online community, but different pockets aren't. And so part of what you're trying to do is you got a strategic question, and our Accelerate conference and planning small groups with purpose helps out with a lot of this, but inch by inch, you've got to figure out what you're doing with. You might want to look at where your senior pastor buy-in is at, what level is it at. Derek is going to be posting up a podcast link to that for you right now. The other thing is that I'd say to you is you move with the movers. Right now, we're going to deal with that in the next couple of questions of some different strategies that you can use to launch new groups during this time. But you've done a great job of switching your physical face-to-face groups to online groups. But what I want to encourage you to do is grab those people. Testimonies are going to win the day, and get the testimonies out there of how group life is helping people during the zone. But also you want to relationally kind of survey the land and see how your pastor can come alongside you to get people in maybe your online groups. But we're also going to talk to you about a couple strategies coming up here that you can use. A couple other people brought questions in. But also, I want you to start thinking through the different pockets of your church that can maybe, partner with you in trying to work this whole part of where those 400 people are at. Praise God, 25% of or 20% of your congregation is connected into a group. Start to think through strategic planning wise, and I'm happy to sidebar it with you and do that. You guys, obviously, everyone's got my email and my cell. It's all on my social media. But I would encourage you in planning small groups with purpose, it kind of walks you through 20 questions so you can start to think through how you can start to build that momentum. But along with that, Matt Jewell and Amber McDonald asked a question kind of similar. They would love to discuss some creative ideas for launching new groups. Now, Lisa, this might tie in with you the same way because people get into groups for predominantly one reason, and that's content. I know the myth out there is that it's over friendship, but most people have already figured out their friends. However, this COVID-19 has got a whole different twist to it. And care is becoming a huge means of people needing that social connection. My wife does a women's group, and she just had a new lady that was so isolated, didn't know that she could find community. She didn't care what the study was. She was just excited to get into that group. But what I want to do is discuss two things that we've done, and Derek's going to be posting this link to you. Is there's some common things that we've done already on how to get your groups from face-to-face to online, and Derek's going to post that one to you. It's on one of our blog posts, but the one I'm interested in is that he's going to show you, this is one of the strategies that we've done at Saddleback Church, and we've gone to a large group, small group environment. And one of the things that you're going to see right here is when you see the link about our online groups, we have now, for people, because like most churches, a lot of people are viewing online more than ever. And so there's an uptick in people that are needing to get plugged into a group. And when you don't have the same resources you did in face-to-face, what we've done there is we've set up different types of affinity groups every night of the week so that people can join for whatever driving them. If it's content, they can see what they're studying, but also at the same point, most of them are driven by affinity. So if you're a young adult and looking for a group, you can go to those spots, and what's going to happen is we're going to use in Zoom the breakout feature so that you can have the large group, you can have 20, 30, 40, 50, up to 300 people inside one of these meetings. But then you can use the breakout feature to get them going into a small group. So one way you can start new small groups is just by affinity. You can offer large group affinity meetings, couples, singles, and you'll see there on that link right there that we have open groups. And those are just for people, they're just open to talk about anything. Those are the people that are saying, I just need care. I don't care about my affinity. I just need care of any type. So you can kind of look at that link. Carolyn Poe asked, what is essential to include in planning the next 60 to 90 days? How do we know what to keep and what to let go of? Before I jump into that, I just forgot the second thing that I was supposed to do with Matt and Amber. So large group, small group. I'm going to get to you really quick, Carolyn. Large group, small group is one tactic. But also, if you're a multi-site church with campuses, we are doing Together Tuesdays. And what they are their prayer meetings or worship meetings or just gatherings. But out of those gatherings, we're going to be pushing them to get into small groups. So 2 strategies on new groups, large group, small group. You saw on the link right there. But also we're doing Together Tuesdays with all of our campuses. The campus by itself is hosting that gathering. And so you can use whatever platform you want to see that happen. But don't do an event for an event's sake during this crisis. Always push them to the lasting community of getting into groups. All right, Carolyn, back to you. You're asking one of the most brilliant questions that I pray everyone is thinking through, because we're nowhere near the apex of what we're going through in this COVID-19 episode. And so what we've got to be doing is thinking through, one question is the long haul. Over this next 60 days to 90 days, we could be doing virtual groups. And so you've got to be thinking through, what are those strategies to getting people into groups? What are those large group, small group tactics that I just talked about? What are those gatherings that get people off a felt need, but then push them into a small group? But you're also going to have to be thinking through over this next 60 to 90 days, what's your discipleship strategy? Because there was a false positive that happened before this virus hit. And that was, as long as people were together, discipleship was happening. That's why so many churches just take attendance in small groups. That's their metric they're trying to look at. But what this is forcing us to do is over the next 60 to 90 days is take a hard look into what is that discipleship process. Because we had a false positive when we had face-to-face meetings. We just thought, hey, if people gather, attendance is up, naturally discipleship happens. And now that it is so much in the digital environment, people are a little bit more going, oh my goodness, we got to measure discipleship a little bit better. So there's 2 things over the next 60 to 90 days you've got to be looking at. And Carolyn, to answer your question, is that one, you've got to be thinking through, okay, we are probably going to be doing digital virtual groups for the next 60 to 90 days. Good, strong chance. So what is that going to look like, and what are my strategies to make that happen? With the link that Derek shared with you, you've got to be looking through, okay, what is the, you got to be looking through the whole piece of what, I'm sorry, my director just messed me up in my whole train of thought. So, I know you're going, keep going, but you're like, making crazy faces at me, messing me up. Do you remember what I was saying? How good of a listener were you? Dude, you were not listening one bit. You're out there playing video games right there. So, no, don't show your face now. You're messing me up. But not only over the next 60, 90 days do we have to figure out how to get people connected and all that, but we've also got to be thinking through what's our discipleship strategy. And I'm going to harp on this forever, but you've got to be going through the pieces of asking yourself, what does a disciple look like? So for us at Saddleback, we are going super intentional over the next 60 to 90 days to get our groups going through, okay, how does authentic fellowship look the way it looked in a physical meeting? How does that look virtually? How do you make sure you have those checkups? How are you making sure things are happening, that you're getting the authentic community that you need? In the area of discipleship, how are we making sure people are growing spiritually over this whole coronavirus system? How are people's quiet times going? How are we checking in on their soul care? How are we, going more with metrics and saying, what are you doing? How are you doing that check-in with everybody? In the area of serving, you can't do everything now physically that you were doing, but there are a number of things that you can still do to help the body. You remember, in your spiritual gifts, you have gifts that you're shaped for, that you can, minister in a deep way, but you also got to know that you have your same giftings to help the family. You serve where you're gifted, but you also serve to the family. And right now, our church has gone down to two primary gift ministries are happening: care calling and care kits that are going out to people. And if you want to make a church small, make a call and make sure that can happen. So the serving is now for the family, not so much for your individual giftedness. In the area of evangelism, how are we ramping up evangelism? Not just because Easter is on the brink of being here, but also in our neighborhoods that are more open to hearing what Christ is about. And in the area of worship, how are your small groups dialing into that? Our small groups this coming week are going to be doing communion together. And so we're getting the resources out there. But this all goes back to, you've got to plan very strategically for the next 60 to 90 days on how are you going to be getting people connected into groups, and then how are you going to be able to start to get discipleship a lot more crisply dialed in. I like to make up my own little words on that. Jennifer Crabtree wrote another long question. Thank you very much, Jennifer. You're killing me. We were in our last week of groups when social distancing in groups went under 50 in California. Obviously, in 22 states in the United States, you're already at stay at home, so it's well under 50 before it went into effect. So we encouraged some groups to keep going virtually, and launched a few new ones to pull people in at this time. We are scheduled to launch our summer season the first week of May. I would love to hear your thoughts on moving ahead with this, knowing that groups may need to meet virtually at first. The thought is to return to normalcy as soon as possible without doing it too fast. We'll totally agree with you on that, but the reality is your whole summer semester may be virtual. So if you're doing a semester system, and Saddleback doesn't do that, but for those of your churches that do it, I think you've got to start thinking through, okay, how do we, and we use Zoom, so that's what I'm more familiar with, but how can your platforms handle those large group gatherings, but still be able to break them out? And so I do know that Jennifer's Zoom can make those capabilities happen so that you can meet together in a large group and you can be broken down. But also at the same time, you're going to have to use that same virtual thing in your semesters. I just keep on encouraging you, keep the people together as long as possible. Last question that got typed in, but may need a little bit more. If you have any more questions, is Matt Moore wrote, would love the best practices for how to care for someone in your church who comes down with COVID. What is safe to do and what isn't? Derek is right now posting an article for you to look at. We've got another one coming out from some doctors who are working on another document to follow up on this document. I would just encourage you, read that document. Obviously, consult with physicians. Not everything on the internet is the right thing, so I would check it out, obviously, with doctors and that. But remember, anyone who has COVID COVID is feeling, obviously scared, but there can be shame based with that, and the church has really got to rally around in helping, not only provide the things that they need during this time of caring for them, but the document that he posted hopefully will help you out. Just want to encourage you, continue to visit smallgroupnetwork.com. We're continuing uploading resources right there. We're continuing. The blogger team is doing an unbelievable job putting out articles that are going to help you during this whole process. All right, Mr. Producer, who was it? Vicky? Jackie.
Yes.
Sorry, Jackie. I got the IE, but not the whole part. Jackie just wrote a great one on how to, complement your groups going online with your pastor's sermon. But there's a lot of them that are floating out there. I defer to my producer to see if anything came in that I need to address.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. Hey, thanks for joining me on this. Look forward to just riding this wave out with you as we are going through COVID-19 together, and we're better together. I just want to encourage you, this Facebook group, search this feed. Great things are coming out from lots of different organizations of things on discipleship, on connecting, a lot of documents. If you go on your desktop, you can see a lot of the documents that have been posted that will help you give documents to your group leaders to help them get online at a special time. So till we meet again on this great platform, I'll catch you later. See you later.